Yeah.
Got it? Oh, there's somebody else.
Nope, we're still getting it.
From who? I'm muted. Sarah, you muted?
But I think my speakers are still on, so I might be still good.
I don't know.
It's quite peaceful noise. I'm alright with it if y'all are.
Jordan, we're having a problem.
I think it'll get old by the end.
Yeah, I always have to have my speakers muted and join without
That's what I did.
audio.
I joined without audio. I did get out of here.
You don't have like a mute on the,
Let me bail out.
okay.
It's not me.
There we go. Oh, I think I figured it out.
Was it her?
Is that the right button?
Because I just leaped out.
Audio.
But
I'm
everything was
like,
muted
Jordan
anyway.
joined.
You got it now? We good? I'll try coming in.
Okay. Let's get through that every time.
Can't read it.
I don't know what's going on. now.
Jordan's calling me. Have you got it fixed? That's what you're calling for.
I think we
Oh,
have.
can you share your screen?
Yes. Is it working? Can you see it?
Yeah, share it to the Zoom so that y'all can see it.
I don't know why it's not letting me
Yeah, on the
in.
speaker. Maybe I didn't silence my phone. I thought I did.
There we go.
Is that what you
I'm
want?
just
So
gonna
now she
bail
can go to
out.
her presentation.
Okay, so I can go to.
Get out of this thing.
Oops.
There you go.
Yay! Okay.
All right.
Okay, you
Thank
ready?
you, Jordan.
Yeah. Everybody can hear me? Okay, good afternoon. I'm Bill Kanda, Chairman of the Custer County Board of Health. This is Tuesday, June the 25th, 2024, and it's 1:02 or so right now, it looks like, on the wall. So please silence your phones if you haven't done it already, Kevin. Touche. And we will, this meeting is being broadcast both on Zoom and on, what do we have, YouTube on? I think it is. So call the meeting to order. Let's have the Pledge of Allegiance. Lucas.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, Lucas.
We'll do our Board of Health meeting roll call.
Okay, roll call, please.
Yeah.
Okay, just call out each name because that way it's recorded.
Oh, okay. So board member Kanda.
Here.
Okay. Board member Ed.
here.
Board member Day.
Here.
And myself, Sarah Bertelson, intern director.
And,
Board and sanitation. Ruth and Forrest.
okay, and then we'll introduce the visitors. So we got a visitor over there.
Visitor.
Patrick Fiore, Custer County Public Health.
Okay. Okay, any amendments to the agenda? I don't think I have any.
I don't have any.
I would just mention Bob did have the job description completed and passed that out. I don't see that specifically on the agenda. I don't know if that would fall under BOH report or not. I know we directed him to get that done, but
Yeah,
I didn't know how that needed to look here.
we will have to read it and approve it, but you just passed it out. So it'll
However you
be,
guys want to attack it.
and we will, it's a good question because our next board meeting would be in,
July 3rd.
we have one scheduled for the July 3rd meeting. Why don't we do that? Yeah, we've got it. Let's look it over and discuss it then.
Okay.
Good plan. Thanks for bringing that up. And I don't believe we have any minutes. Did you bring any, Sarah? Did you find any old ones?
No.
Okay, we'll start new. And reports. So since we're on that, let's talk to sanitarian.
We're very busy right now. We have two real big issues that I'm working on addressing. One of them has been taken to, or scheduled for court. However, due to not having a septic,
Speak
or
up.
a functioning septic. However, we can't locate the individual to serve the papers. I'm still working on that and working with.
You
them
mentioned
on-
that the last time.
Yeah, and yeah.
Meeting.
We have another one out of the lake that has multi-dwellings. Neither one of them is connected to a septic. And when I say multi-dwellings, they're RVs being used as dwellings. And then another major one out of the lake that has multiple dwellings on it, probably 3 accessory buildings and 1 RV that's being lived in and no septic. So I'm working on that, keeping me very busy. So that's really kind of it. It's summer. We're noticing a lot more. A lot more people are coming in, using their cabins. We did the other day notice a cabin that was being utilized as a dwelling, and I did send them a letter. I put a cease and desist letter on the door, and marked it so that they were not legally able to enter. There were beds, food, everything in there. They did contact us right away, and we're working with them to try to get a septic installed and find some.
So they didn't have an outhouse or anything there? I mean,
They had an
porta
outhouse.
potty, I should say. They just had an
2
outhouse.
outhouses. Yep, dug their own hole.
Where
built
was
their
that?
little shelter. It was in Rosita,
I'll be done.
so.
Good.
A lot popping up anyway.
So the reason they didn't have a septic system is because they didn't understand they needed it, and they were, what was the,
Couldn't afford it.
so they thought it was okay just to dig an outhouse
Yeah.
without asking anybody.
So we've given them the list of contractors, sent that to them, they have it. I don't think that they're going to do anything right away. They do have another residence that they can stay in out of Custer County, so it's not like we're kicking them out or anything. It was just very obvious that they had dug 2 different holes. One was for a shower, one was for the outhouse.
Did they have power? Electricity?
I believe so, Bill, but I've had so many of them that
And did they have a well?
I don't believe so. So no.
The reason I'm asking is sometimes ignorance of the law is no excuse, but you gotta be able to find the law. You gotta know of it.
Absolutely.
So maybe, I'm thinking of the PIO putting stuff out somewhere and flyers or whatever, because people come and go, and it ought to be easy to put a blanket statement that says any dwelling that has to have a septic system if you're gonna live in.
Yeah, and we've talked about that before in the past, and I think Jennifer moved on and we didn't
Yeah,
have a PIO.
we need to come up with something.
I put some things out, but not enough. I haven't been able to keep up with it. And that was
Well, I've
my
been
biggest
working with
fear.
Mike a lot on different things, making sure, like the OEM today, made sure that he's plugged into the fire and that the word's getting on our website, because it's close to our border now and people are asking what's going on with the fire. So it's good to get, the PIO should be involved in all these kinds of things and helping as much as can. It's one of the reasons we got him doing what he's doing, as you know.
I would love to work with Mike.
So
and put
do
some
that,
more
and
things together.
because those people, I don't know, sure, they're probably dirt poor and don't have a way of doing it, but they're gonna have to figure it out.
Yeah.
And we'll have to figure out how to help them.
Yep, and we're working with them.
Okay. And that's probably not the last we'll hear of others.
I'm sure.
Okay, so now you got some proposed changes that we've been talking about and getting ready to take a look at.
And I did a summary of the changes, so we don't have to go through it word for word, item by item. But there are some things that we do need to look at changing. One thing that I would like to put in there is to clarify that only certified Custer County contractors can pull a septic permit. since I've been in my position, we've had 4 or 5 different cases where a homeowner has pulled their own permit and then they
Hired somebody, huh?
well, they didn't have anybody and they started installing it themselves. They put a contractor down there, so we did the permit as having a contractor. They did get a soil analysis. However, when we go out there, it's evident that the contractor's hasn't contacted us, nothing. It's just a breakdown. So we would like it to come through the actual contractor that's going to be doing the work.
So how are you clarifying it physically? What were you gonna print it on the grade? What are you doing?
It would be
exactly?
part of the red.
So where would you see that initially?
Well, we tell them that now. We've kind of changed it
Okay.
after the last
But it'll be
2.
in print as well.
Yes, I would like to have it changed in here as
Okay,
well.
cool.
Add stipulation of having a property entrance clearly marked. When you're going out there to do a septic inspection, I need, and maybe it's just me, but I need something.
Can't find it.
I drove by and spent time calling contractors on if I have service, trying to figure out where the entrance is. There's a lot of times not even a 2-track, and if they're down over a hill, I can't find them. I have the Public map and I can get close, but not always. So I would like to have that in there so they're not always filling out the directions to the property on the application or it's not clear.
I think a lot of times, our emergency services need that as well. And I think the fire department pushes that pretty hard.
We do mandate a reflective address marker once they do their dwelling, but there's a lot of, you have the state inspectors going out there, there's different people delivering materials. It would be helpful if everybody just maybe did it from the get-go.
Snowstorms and snowplows sometimes break them. But it's up to the loaner to keep them on.
Well, and so adding the stipulation of having the property entrance clearly marked, if we don't tell them exactly what we want them to have, that is gonna be open to broad interpretation.
That would be the piece of plywood with spray paint.
And I would even be happy with that at this point in some cases, but, if you're gonna do that, why not get the reflective address marker off
So
right off the bat?
maybe we ask for them before you pull your septic permit.
Okay.
You get that address marker.
You could maybe look at it like, that's the minimum required. When you got a new property and it's not even a road going to it, it needs to be marked above and beyond in order for you to find it. Sort of something that you probably ought to have if it's newly installed.
So we can make that verbiage the same as what's in the resolution.
Yeah.
That would be
That'd help.
really good.
And then that may not be big enough for you to see. Is my point. If it's coming into a new property and you have a 2-lane path that you haven't even really got the weeds knocked down on.
Yeah, it should be at the end of the road so that anybody can see it when they're coming by.
Right.
So in other words, if there's 3 houses down in this little area, there should be one up there too. That's what we've been asking them to do for their own safety.
Sure. All
I
right.
assume a certain type too, and a certain color, because I have reflective on mine, but they're black and white. Not the $20 ones you get from the fire department, they're all
Yeah.
green and white.
We've asked for
Yeah, you can go to the
the
fire
reflective,
department.
that's what it states, it doesn't state you have to get the one from the fire department. If you want to make that change, that's a change in this as well as the resolution.
Well, I have mine out at good location. It's still sitting in my.
Garage.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. All right. Got it.
I'd like to remove out of here the revoking of a contractor's license if they do not sign the permit following the inspection. Here's what happens.
You want to
They
remove?
call, there's a storm coming, if you will, they want it covered, so they call at the last minute, I run out, and I tried it very hard to accommodate them, run out, do the inspection, they're not always there. They can't always be there, they're running from one job to the other, and I can't always come right when they first call.
That's true.
So they waste a lot of time waiting for me to come out there or vice versa. I'm waiting for them to get back from wherever they had to run to get some piece of equipment or whatever. So a lot of them do stop in and sign it, but in my opinion, as long as I've signed that I've inspected it, or Delana signed that she's inspected it, that it should be covered.
You don't need a contractor to sign it at all.
If they're there, great, we'll have them sign it. If not, I would hate to revoke somebody's license because they weren't there to sign it, or they didn't come in for, how long do I wait for them to come in and sign?
Well, it just rises the cost of the contractor, so it rises the cost for
It does.
citizens.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing.
If
Okay.
it still required the signature, you could have it in-house, and when they came and pull the permit, you could catch them up on the ones they need to sign or something like that.
We've tried that, Kevin. It
Doesn't work too good.
Well,
We have a stack of files sitting there, and Delana's trying to remember who it is she needs a signature from.
what was the
They sign
reason
it.
for them signing in the first place?
It was just part of the process. They sign it, if they're pulling, to me, if they're pulling the
You're acting as the owner.
application, then their signature's on it. Before, there were homeowners pulling them too, so there wasn't always a contractor's signature, but if they're the one pulling it, then that should be sufficient.
I think it's good to have the contractor either sign their name on it because it's useful in the future if you have a problem. You might
Yes.
want to ask questions where there's something. It's nice
Yeah.
to track it down.
And it's part of our online system, their name is in there, the soil analysis person's name's in there, it's all there. Unless
But their name should be on the permit when it's issued, right?
it is, yes.
Okay, so
As long as that's
signing
on
it,
Is irrelevant.
Yeah. Change of property owner about voids a permit. I didn't catch that in here when I
Yeah, that
started.
can't be.
I did not catch that, and I've been, if someone sells the home, in that contract, that, permit is not expired, I've been letting it transfer over, just like we do a dwelling
Sure.
permit. It's already paid for, as long as it's not expired, it should be able to go to the next homeowner.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hate to charge somebody twice for something, so.
Good.
Timeframe on it would still be acceptable.
Yes. I'd like to add that whenever there's maintenance done or any type of service on a system, that they add risers. Every other county is doing that. It's so important. Otherwise, people are building porches over the top of their septic system, not really realizing it's down there. Let's say the home changes hands 3 times. I have not pumped my septic there. We had it pumped, but I wasn't there when they did it, when I bought the house, because it was inspected. And then I go put this big old deck around my house and I cover that septic up. It's happening a lot.
Trouble
Sometimes-
is, we've got a lot of them that's already been done and they already own it. It's gonna be hard to catch it. In other words, there's gonna be that problem probably happen.
I'm just saying in the future.
From
going
here forward, that's a good idea.
Yes, when your
well,
service.
other than the guy that's cut a hole in his deck right there, the house that he bought, so he could pump out his septic.
That's right.
He's not gonna put risers in and cut up more of his deck, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we do not wanna aggravate
Here's what we did do.
the
Well,
situation.
Well, okay, if they had to cut their deck off, and usually they're able to crawl under there and do whatever they have to, I would say that would be the exception, not the rule. And they would have to work with us, but somehow it has to be identified that that's where it's at.
There was one that we did do not a long time ago. When Round Mountain bought this house that an old sawmill used to be on, Fisk's mill it was. He put a septic system in, sold it at a show home house, and then he built an addition on it over the top of the septic tank, period. And so you couldn't get to it without going through the house and boring a hole in the bedroom. So we abandoned it, blocked it, and ran a new septic system, a new tank, had to put a new tank in. Got a tank through the tank. That's how it happens. People
It
don't pay
happens.
attention.
I was making my wife's flower, over the 2 lids on my tank, we raised lids and, or raised flower beds. I put risers on them.
Yeah. All right, that's good.
That's how I mark hers.
Okay, if a system is not in compliance and services performed, the system must be brought into compliance. And I know that's gonna ruffle some feathers, but if we go out there and it's a system that, let's say it's just a 500-gallon metal tank, to me, that should be, and according to state guidelines, that should be brought into compliance with regulations.
So if you need service on it, do they have to pull a permit?
Not necessarily. If there's gonna be any type of modification, or if the system has completely failed, yes, they would have to pull a permit.
So you're essentially then asking for the contractors to make sure that the
If I go out there and they did an addition of 5 bedrooms and they now brought their house up to 5 bedrooms and before it was 2, that should be addressed.
but they'd have to get a septic permit to.
No, there's no way of doing it.
If you extend the leach field, you gotta like actually do the whole. septic tank.
What's happened in the past, toilet backs up and they call for somebody to fix it. Septic guy. And he finds out that it's backing up because the leach field was too small. And so we required him to put in a leach field. That's always been the case. The tank was, and at that time, the tank was big enough for the bedrooms over in it. If the tank's not, then it's required to replace the tank.
Yes.
So that's what we've been doing as practice. I don't know how it's stated in
It's
here.
not stated that way in here.
So that's fair enough. It's not, I don't think they would, as long as the bedrooms match, the bathrooms match, everything's fine, you can repair it.
Yeah.
You know, by putting in just a leach field, not the whole system.
Because they're just gonna put a Band-Aid on it.
Right. Well, as long as the Band-Aid that's on it is not a Band-Aid, as long as it's it's big enough Band-Aid to be.
Right.
It's okay, it's okay to repair it and cut off the other and leave the other in the ground. You don't have to
Yeah.
pull it up. Leave that leach field or that tank in the ground is fine. But they have to find their place for a new one, if it's not big
If
enough.
that be the case, yes.
And we should have the record of what that house has.
In some cases.
Some we don't. There's some out there that don't have any tanks still, that are in these small subdivisions that were 100 yards big. They have a cesspool, and it just leached out the side of it. But they were never there long enough to fill it.
So what does that look like? You go to the lake or you go to Spanish, something like that, where you actually have these dwellings have had a system in place for a long time, but then it's not up to code. And then you tell them they have to make it meet code, and they do not have the room to make it meet code. Are we gonna make them put in a,
Engineer, go up.
In some cases, I think it depends on each situation. I mean, if that system's operating, and I haven't added it extra bedrooms, I guess maybe I'm not catching the question.
so
How is that system not up to code?
say they're too close to somebody's well, or something of that nature, to where, but for them to address that situation, they don't have the room and capability to be able to do that. Does that automatically make them have to put in a wall?
Very good question. I think maybe we need to put some, if it's this, I don't know. I wouldn't, it's been operating like that for years. Maybe we test the other person's water and make sure it's safe to drink, but we have that all over down there.
See, I think
And
you're right. You can't make it for every contingency. What you're saying is good enough because it says it must be in compliance. Then you gotta figure out what does it take to get it in compliance, and that's when you go through You put a vault in, do you build an engineered system on top of the ground now instead of, it's not southern anymore, whatever the cause of it not being in compliance.
And maybe that's the case where we plug off, we take out the leach field and just make it a holder.
The vault, maybe at that time.
You know, I think each situation is gonna be different, and we need to be able to work with them.
Yeah, you sure don't wanna say, yeah, but if this happens, then if you go chasing it, you have a bunch of trees going in this regulation, it would be too
Every
much.
situation out there is different.
Yeah, cause like, okay, they were in compliance when they put that system in, the rule had changed since then. And now you're telling, well, you gotta go out and spend thousands of dollars to put your system back in shape.
Could happen.
Or you can't make it do that, so now we're gonna make you put it in a vault and you're gonna have to pump it again. It's more.
That could happen.
So,
That'd be case by case.
yeah,
And I wouldn't just make that decision, I would work with the homeowner, the contractor, and I would work with them over there.
So they know all their options. The other
Yes.
ultimate option is to doze it down and see ya. I mean, I'm leaving the county because I can't do anything else. I mean, maybe that could, I don't know.
But when somebody is intentionally adding bedrooms, so we pulled a dwelling permit where they did their addition and it's supposed to be one big great room, and after we leave, after doing the compliance letter, they add 2 bedrooms in that room instead. They go to sell that house, somebody buys that house and doesn't realize their septic's 2 bedrooms shy of the size it should be. It's happening a
Where the
lot out
tank
there.
is.
Yeah. And, you know, a lot of times people say, well, it's just my summer home. But when you have your entire family of 20 people up there for a weekend, you're gonna overwork that system. It happens all the time.
Okay, so back to the statement. This is a good generic statement. It's not in compliance. We must be in compliance. And work with the planning and zoning and whatever else, all the people that are involved to make it happen.
And I'd have to look to see exactly how I worded it in here, but I'll take a look at that and make sure it's worded that way. Eliminate the contractor requirement to be on site during the inspection. A lot of times, if I have questions, I'll call them. It's just not possible for my schedule and their schedule for me to run out when I can. It's easier for me to be flexible like that and just say, hey, I'll be out there sometime between this time and this time, or on my way home. I've done that plenty of times. And then I call them and let them know you can backfill, or I call them and let them know you need to change this, and it's working.
Okay.
The addition of pumping the vaults annually so that it matches our change with the resolution. That's all that.
Okay.
Change the incinerating and composting toilet regulations to meet state requirements. That has not been updated since the state updated their requirements.
Good.
And then we get into the licensing part. I'd like to add some stuff in here, and I'd like to push everybody to get training. So right now, we do not, our soil analysis or authorized percolation technicians, they come in and they give us their CPAL or NWAT, I'm not saying that right, NAWT certificate, and we put them on the list. We don't do that for anything else, nor do we require training in some cases. So I'd like to just put the verbiage in there that they need to, there's requirements in here, but never can I see about the technicians, but I never really follow them that I can find. We don't have any folders for any of them, we don't have anything. So I'd like it to mirror what I'm proposing for the rest of them. Add the requirement of completing and maintaining the Colorado Soils training. So it's through CPAL, and they offer an actual 2-day training course. It's 1 day of class. The next day is actual out in the field doing soil analysis, testing, filling the dirt, putting the water in there, showing you how to do the actual job, and then you test when you get back for the rest of that class day. Change addition of charging a fee to the license, to be licensed in Custer County. So it would just mirror what we currently have the installers do, so we could track that. We know they're up to date.
What is that fee?
It's $75.
Okay,
For the licensed septic contractors, remove the ability for homeowners to install their own system. We're one of the few counties that you can come in and do that, and it's a nightmare. I know that I still go out and inspect it.
so if they are a homeowner and they got themselves licensed as is that what?
If they wanted to go
Sure,
through
go
the seek
through
out the
sure.
proper training, yes, sir.
Okay, then
Yeah,
that's,
then they can do that.
didn't realize that, that wasn't the case.
They come in and they take a 25 question test. And
Homeowner
then they
does.
come in, then that's how it's set up. And then they come in and they're asking me,
How
how do I do
this? How do you
this?
do
How
that?
do I do that? How should I design this? And I don't mind helping people, but I don't have the time to help them design their septic system.
Right.
Or just like go out there and figure out what the
Okay.
best location is. Okay.
Might be careful how you say that, then the homeowner can do it, just gotta get licensed.
Yep,
Homeowners can do their own if they want.
They remove, they're not allowed to install
My
their
dad,
own system unless they,
Are
And I-
certified.
and I may
They
have
have
it.
to work with a contractor though, right?
No, not necessarily.
No,
They're certified and they got a backhoe, they can go do their own.
But they wouldn't be able to pull a permit, so.
Why not?
They're not pulling a permit because
they
we
can if they come in and take their test.
clarify that only CC certified contractors can pull septic permits.
So they're certified.
So
they
this
come in
happens
They
in
have to
the
be
electrical
certified.
world all the time, right? Somebody goes, hey, I can do it myself, but I need somebody else to pull the permit. They pull the permit, they wire it up themselves. It goes on that guy's license, they still call for a homeowner's.
So in that case, it could happen, and as far as Dorothy's concerned, whoever the licensed contractor signed is on the hook, he did it.
Yeah.
Quote.
Right.
It's under their
So it's
license.
legit.
Yeah.
And if they make a mistake, it's his problem, because he wasn't watching it close enough.
so, but if the.
Why would we remove the ability for the homeowners to install their own
That's
system?
what we said they're not. That's what she's saying, you could do it if you're licensed.
If
Well,
they go through all of the training like a contractor would, then they can do it.
So,
Or-
I'm hearing two different things here.
yeah, that's right.
Are they only required to come in and take your test, become a certified contractor, or you said training right there, do they have to take a class to be at that?
They
So
would
we
have
need to know what
take-
we're saying.
They would have to take the CPAL or MWAT training and bring in the certificate.
So go back to the other case, even if they didn't do that, and some contractor says, do the work and I'll go out there and, you can be my les, it's like hiring the guy. That's okay,
Right.
that's okay, because
As long
he's
as
signing it, not, and he's taking the risk, or not taking the risk if he's out there inspecting it and doing what he should be doing.
As long as
Because that's what I would do if I hired Joe Blow to go out there and level out a trench.
I mean, I do the same thing, hire me for the license, hey,
Sure.
inspect it, make sure I'm putting it in right, okay, I'm
Right.
putting it in right, I do this.
That's right.
do this.
It's up to the
They do all
contractor.
the work because it saves them, what,
Ton of money.
the 75% of
Sure.
all the dollars.
And that's okay.
If
in
we
this case.
remove that though, without them becoming basically a contractor,
There's.
I shouldn't have to
I guess
become a
what-
contractor to install my own stuff on my own property.
As
Not
long as you
installing it
get
for somebody
a
else.
certified person to sign that they did it or that they met the code, which is what you're talking about, and that's what she said.
So maybe we add that in there to say unless you were working under a contractor installing your own.
Yeah,
What does it say?
doesn't say anything.
Yeah, it does. It just says they can come in and take a 25 question test.
I don't even know why it said that, it's just silly. I think that's back in the old days when they didn't have a lot of other worries, and that's right, contractors.
Personally, I fall right into this. I just went to the backhoe from Ace and did all the digging, bought my own,
It's like,
infiltrators over at
sure,
Wade
that's right.
Nelson.
And it's like,
Myself and then had the actual license,
yeah,
do it, and be like, this is all legit. I'm putting this under my name,
that's right.
and that's about. and I
You
wasn't-
know, you do that all the time. There are people that save money building a house. They go build the house and the guy, the contractor.
They should not be coming in and asking Dorothy.
That's
to
right.
Install.
That's right.
I do agree with that.
Yeah, no, I go talk to the contractor.
Sure,
pull
go
my
see your
septic
friend.
permit.
That's exactly right.
Things on YouTube, watch it.
Good point you brought up, though. It is legit.
So
Okay, keep going.
eliminate the current testing process and change to the Custer County test, change the Custer County test to 10 to 20 questions that require all contractors to successfully complete and maintain their NWAT outs installer training. So there are specific things in here that are above and beyond what the state requires,
That we require.
that we require. So that would be the 10 to 20 question test that I will develop once
You already have the test, don't you?
we have a 100
Certified.
question test.
So you don't want it to be that much?
No, if they're gonna have to go through all this, all that is, Bill, is memorization.
I know.
That doesn't,
But there's a test required, is my point. So if it's not that test, you're changing the test for everybody then.
yes,
Okay, well, that makes it
So
simple,
it's-
because this was,
So basically, because you had an issue, I'm sorry, go ahead.
go ahead, no, I did. She answered.
You had an issue before with one of the contractors that was state licensed, but had not taken our test. And this would eliminate that. Would you continue, you say go ahead and keep us with a 10 to 20 question test, would you want to do that, or just make them show you the NAWT and the outs?
they need to show me that they've been certified.
That's right.
So if
State,
they
that
can
they've
come in with
taken
that,
the
they
state.
wouldn't be required to take your.
That's
Yes,
right.
they would.
Yeah.
They would need to take the 10 to 20 question test that's specific to our outs regulations. We require Schedule 40 pipe only, that's one thing. Our tanks need to be 10 feet from the house, the state says 5. I'm fine with changing it to 5 feet if that's what we want to do to match what the state says. But there's other things in here
Okay.
that are above and beyond that we ask for, that the state doesn't ask for.
Okay.
And actually-
Making ours a lot.
That's right. We should not ask for more than what the state says, actually. If it really, there must be a reason why, otherwise we're causing our people more harm, not harm, but more work, more cost. Yeah, and bureaucracy we don't need. If it's good enough for that, now it doesn't mean that we can't have some different things that may impact, that are required because of other reasons.
I'll look through it,
Okay.
and if they come in and take that 10 to 20 question test, that it gives us a chance to meet them, see if they want their name on the list, things like that. And then we know that they need to use the Schedule 40. I'll give you an example, the one that I had to have the contractor dug out to use a very lightweight pipe, can't think of the schedule of what it was, but it was a lightweight pipe and covered it, didn't have me come out and inspect it. Well, we use the Schedule 40 only, and I think that's safe with the amount of rock that we have in our soil around there.
So could that be something, rather than making them take an additional test, that you have just a list of additional requirements that we require the Schedule 40 pipe, the 10
We could do
foot,
that.
and that could, when the permit is pulled, that is included with the permit. It's not really something they would have to test on, I don't think, but this is our requirements above the state requirements.
Okay, I'm good with that.
It's really what they should have, just a list of
That
requirements.
frees my time up a little bit.
Sure.
So no test is required.
Yes.
And they just require the outs in the NAWT test.
Or not the NAWT, and depends on what's more restrictive.
Suppose if you go out 10 feet instead of 5 foot, less likely it's gonna get covered up with deck.
Or not.
I want a 15-foot deck when I ever.
I wonder, it makes you wonder why they.
Well,
why they
it
changed
really
it.
doesn't matter, 10 feet or 5, it's still there, you can see it. You can build over the top of it, it's dumb. And it's to your benefit because it helps you keep your system going without a lot of cost of.
Well, the more things we stay directly with the state on and we don't, the thing that is, we're better off not deviating.
And it
from
makes
what
it
we've already
confusing
Put
and-
in place
Yeah.
to a certain degree.
And I'll take a look at it, and maybe in our next meeting, I can bring up what those
Say,
specific,
here's what we modified.
what every difference is. Maybe I'll
Okay.
talk to some of the contractors and say, you know, I don't know why it's different. I couldn't tell you, I wasn't here at the time that it was done.
Well, and that's the
So-
crazy thing about additional things is state of Washington has many additional things over and above what the NEC code is. So my continuing education is always based upon that and those changes that are specific to the state, not specific to the nation. But it's a pain because what they do is different than what Denver is doing.
See, it's easy to think of, you know, if you've got traffic regulations or traffic statewide, everybody, counties can't change those. But we wouldn't want to go more than what they do. Confuses, if it's safe, if that's safe enough, why would we want to make it harder?
Yeah. So I'll look at that and make recommendations at the next meeting. Licensed system cleaners, pumpers, if you want to call them. Remove the current licensing requirement since we have never followed it and followed the written process. There's nowhere I can find that we've ever done that. Matter of fact, I talked to Pat and Ryan, a couple of the ones that have been around.
So we have a requirement for what? What's our
They're
requirement?
supposed to be I'm supposed to go out and observe them pumping. I'm supposed to have a little test for them to take. None of that we have not been doing that. And then we should have a file. It should all be charged to keep their license with us, just like the contractors, the installers. We've never done that. I can't find that we've ever done that. So what I would like to do is have that go, NAWT has put together, and this is new, a pumper training course. So it requires anybody that runs a back truck to go through this training. It's great training. And what I read about it, I haven't gone through the training, but it talks about safety when you're out there. It talks about how the fumes can be intoxicating. I mean, there's a lot of things that it covers that.
So there is
We would
going to
never
be a
cover.
state requirement, is that what you just said?
No, if I said that, I'm wrong.
Sounded like that's what
I
you said.
probably did. It's up to the county to make that requirement. In every other county that I know of, that's required.
What do they call it? Is it a?
What's the test called,
No,
the
yeah,
training
what
called?
do you call it?
I-
To be a licensed septic system, what? Pumper, vacuum cleaner,
Soccer.
It's
sucker,
an
what do you call it?
NAWT vac truck technician.
Okay,
Hooper pumper.
Yeah.
So we'd have
Honey
authorized
wagon.
You're not allowed to
technicians
laugh.
licenses, we'd have back truck technician licenses.
Yeah, in your packet, there's
Yeah,
I
okay.
printed out what things we could
Okay.
have people be.
Just don't confuse them with names that are similar to the other name, like NAWAT, back, NAWAT everywhere.
Okay.
Must be NAWAT certified, what does that mean? Is it NAWAT
They-
back truck
Most of them
certified?
know what I'm talking about.
Ah, yeah, but
I'm gonna get to that. We're gonna
get
have
specific on the licenses.
a meeting with the contractors if we decide to go this direction. So basically, I had started putting a test together for the pumpers, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. How am I supposed to test somebody on what I have never done? So I really think that's important that we go this way.
Well, don't sell yourself short, that happens all the time. There are people in the DMV that don't drive. They can't drive.
That's very
So
true.
don't don't do that.
A
You
lot of
can-
it's common
You have the
sense.
authority to do what you're doing.
Yeah,
So, and if the county wants to make it a law or a requirement, you can execute that.
and I will eventually work through and go
As
to
long
each
as
of
you
these
have the book
courses.
that you're following.
I can fly a plane, I can't just say I can't land it.
Yeah. That's right.
This is easy.
Well, I guess I can land it too, but.
But you are being taught by, you're required that.
Will never
That
fly.
FAA guy that doesn't know how to fly, he says you will take a lot by a trained instructor to do that. So that's the same thing I'm saying here. If you're gonna take a test, you're required to be able to fly that truck.
Well, true, because my cousin's not licensed anymore to fly, but he's one of Southwest top trainers.
Sure.
Just medical reasons.
And you can still sit in the airplane and be an instructor, you just can't be the pilot and plane. Anyway, same
Okay.
thing. So go ahead and
Okay.
keep going.
Add requirement of completing completing and maintaining their in-lot vac truck training. Addition of the charging a fee so that it's consistent with each one of the license, and we can reduce the amount of that fee if you guys would like to. And it's not about the fee, it's so that they come in, they turn in their certification sheet, and we keep track of it that
Well,
way.
recertifying, once you've got experience, shouldn't be as big a deal as learning how to fly in the first place.
Is it one-time
Absolutely.
licensing fee?
It would be annual, or
It would be a renewal fee. or
it would be a
something.
renewal fee,
And that can be.
which is what we do
$10.
with the installers right now.
So is that the same fee for renewal as it is for the first time?
No,
I think it's 50 to renew and 75 for the first time.
yeah.
And we can drop that down. It could be $10. It's not
That's what
about,
Yeah, we should.
Renewal's
reduce
just a,
it.
it's just,
This is almost what worse than my electrical license is.
yeah,
okay,
yeah, we need to make it simple.
we can do that. I'd like to require quarterly reporting of proper dumping. So they need to come in on a quarterly basis and prove to me where they're dumping. Because I have a lot of
Yeah, I
stories
think
being told.
They follow the
It's very
spot down the hard gravel, and it looks like it was the cattle truck that dumped it all on.
It is very expensive to dump your truck right now, anywhere.
Yeah.
You're most likely not making much of a profit if you're dumping.
So how are you
it.
gonna, they're gonna come in and show you what?
Receipts,
Should be. Should receipts, huh?
And you're gonna have the time to do that. So how do we keep that simple?
they can email them to us, they could, however they would choose to do that. They can bring them in. If I get my grant, this will be very, very simple to track.
And by, you know, it could be, so they show you 3 receipts and they've dumped 10 loads. How do you know?
And it's not gonna be I'm not,
You're not gonna go out
they
and-
could still
It doesn't
periodically,
have to be.
they could still periodically be dumping out in the middle of nowhere, and I would never know it. Because I'm not gonna know how many tanks they pumped or whatever.
So,
I get that, but I
where you
can-
get them is what you do on, like, selling booze illegally. When you get caught, you get a big fine.
So what are they charging and how much are we shipping out? Because I think we
We're
should,
shipping everything out right now,
if
there's
we
nowhere to
knew
dump.
what that cost was, it might be worth it might be worth it to somebody to start it.
Well, they looked into that, somebody did, and it wasn't profitable.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
can't remember, they told me they went down there, don't go that route and put a pumping station in here where you could drop
I
it.
think
There's
Jessica
different
talked
ways.
about it a little
And
bit.
you
Well,
had
he
to
was-
have a tank big
He was
enough.
gonna allow, okay, you can dump on your own property, or if you lease property, you can
As
dump.
long as it's big enough.
As long as you're only doing it twice a day, and you disc it in, you treat it with lime, and you disc it in, rake it into the ground when you're done. We have no regulations around this, other than the state regs. If you're gonna start allowing multiple pumpers to dump on that land, then you have to
Then you're
get
exceeding
certified
the
through the,
capability of that land to do what it's supposed to do to break it up.
then you have to be certified through the EPA. But if it's just a small operation, dumping on your own land, and you would keep record of, you have to check the pH balance at the beginning, middle, and end of your dump each time.
See, that was this fella, I don't remember what it was. He had 40 acres and it wasn't big enough to do any good to even, the cost of getting it done. They had him set up in business, wasn't profitable enough to do so he could think of that.
Well, I know our pumper down in Rye, he does it and he allows.
You got a
he
question on
does his
septic
own.
system, Bob?
He doesn't have anybody
Just
else.
checking to see if you were still going, if you had questions. Stick my nose in.
We're having a good time here.
He doesn't have anybody else dump, he does his own. And he turns around and he plants alfalfa there periodically, he turns it over and he sells that back to the state somehow. There's things you can do, but you have to make sure it's being done properly. If it's a small operation and you're doing it on your own lot, it's not governed by the
So
EPA.
back to the original question is, if you're dumping it illegally, then we should fine them. And so we're gonna take their word that they've done it. And so, we know, there's people around, it's, like you found out about it. So then we just put them on notice, just like you would a guy selling booze to a underage
Yes.
kid.
Well, then we need to put in here that we would fine them and what.
That's right,
how much.
that you ought to say, that, sure, come up with a,
Because
it's just, you gotta comply with the law.
Hey,
Looks like you all are having a meeting.
Yes, we are,
Is there a VA officer?
right across the street.
Oh, I'm sorry.
no, that's okay.
Not a problem. You see the sidewalk where the motorcycles park?
if his door's locked,
It's straight down that sidewalk.
Motorcycles there, he's there.
Thank you very
If
much.
if his door's locked, go to planning and zoning and talk to them. Because if he's in with somebody to lock his door, right? Okay, you bet.
Okay, so that means no extra work, no problem. Keep going,
okay,
we got a big presentation on waiting for.
all right.
We all,
So license outs inspectors, we have people out, and usually it's the pumper that inspects. Real estate agent calls, or the person calls, I'm buying this house, I'd like it inspected. Can you go, and you have to pump it before you inspect it. But we've never required any training for an inspector, so I'd like to add that in there. Follow the same,
who do we know wanna be inspectors?
say that again?
Is that for anybody, all of a sudden I get an inspiration, I wanna be an inspector? Is there a lot of that going on?
No, but we don't have nobody's trained, and how do I
Well-
know if they know what they're talking about? I'll give you an
Who
example. I'll give
are
you
the
an-
inspectors?
Usually the pumpers.
Okay, but they're gonna be licensed. The pumpers
They're not
aren't.
now.
Well, that's what you already
They will
told them
be.
they were gonna
They
be.
will be.
Okay.
So part
So
of
then
that,
wouldn't,
but it can't, if I'm a contractor and I notice that the leach field's failing, I may fail that system. So in order to do that, they should have some training to know what to look for. So
okay.
that's all it's quite a process to inspect a system, and we need some guidelines. I don't have the guidelines, but to ensure that we're
Who has
getting,
them, where are you gonna get them?
they'll get them in the training. I'm gonna go through the training too, so we'll have it.
Okay.
Bless you.
So I have on here that they'll have until 1/20/25 to complete all their courses, but that needs to be pushed out. There's very few classes being offered through the end of the year. I just looked at it. So I would say we would need to give them to 2026. I've
You
also,
have to be sending them notices and asking them, don't forget, get your renewal, that kind of thing.
yeah.
You don't want to catch it, just put it out there and expect that they're
And
gonna
the
go looking for more work to.
Our system can somewhat generate that now. If we get the grant and I get that new system, it'll automatically send it to them via
Okay.
email.
Good.
You had asked for an implementation plan, and this is very basic, just create some contractors test specific to the Custer County outs guidelines. We've kind of, sounds like, did we decide not to do that? I can't remember. I'm gonna look at that, that's what we decided. Create packets for the contractors and technicians listing the details about certification and classes for each type of license. And I have that here, it's added to your packet. Schedule and hold meetings open house with the contractors and technicians to review the changes. There's going to be some changes, I shouldn't say big because I haven't seen them, to the the state outs regulations come 2025. So we'll be having meetings off and on with the contractors going forward. I just put together a little bullet point as to why we should make these changes. It's kind of self-explanatory, just to keep everyone informed on legislative changes and regulatory updates. That'll do that through their ongoing training. They have to recertify through NWAT every 2 years. And it's 8 hours of course. It can be any course. It could even be say I'm an installer and I go to take my soil analysis course. That's a 16-hour course. They would have their recertification for anything they're licensed on at that point. So the recertification through NAWT is just 8 credits, or 8 hours of courses throughout a given 2-year period, every 2 years. Just to help keep them up to date on any changes.
Who's the them? Who's the them?
The contractors, technicians,
So
all
you're
of our.
talking everybody, all these licenses?
Yep.
That everybody's gonna be required to do something over the 2-year period?
Yes, as ongoing education.
And they're gonna be giving it to you to grade?
No, they'll bring me their certification every 2 years. They'll know when when it expires. I can go online and look and see
Except for
when
the
it
ones that we
expires.
certify, like the contractors in the county. Our own county contractors, you're gonna do.
And it's for their own benefit, because then they can go
Well, I
down to
can-
Pueblo and install, they could go over to Fremont
Does-
County and install.
So does every title that we have, soil perk technician, they have continuing education to get recertified with NWAT, right?
Yes, and it can be, so for any license I hold, I have to do, so right now I have 3. So within 2 years of my first course date, I have 2 years to do 8 hours of continuing education. It can be I had my installer's course done a year ago. I just took the soil analysis, so there's my 8 hours.
So do they know where to go to get their courses?
Yes, and I'll go through all that with them when we do the meetings.
So,
And then attached in your packet also is just kind of a description of the different courses that's out there. I didn't put in there that they have a designer's course. I think our contractors do a great job at designing their systems. I don't know why we would mandate that. If they choose to take that as their continuing education, that's great.
okay, so you've got to clean up a few things. I would move that we accept the proposed process. We haven't seen all the detail. You're gonna go, you're gonna modify a few things, right? You said you were gonna go back and do that, so I think you can go and implement this, that's what I'm proposing. But we need to see the final product.
Okay. Yeah, I need to retype the whole booklet, but I didn't want to go through any more.
Let's see how it flows together, and there may be another reason that we might wanna not do something, or might wanna, because there is, I don't know, let's see the final product.
And I think the changes that I'm writing down as we went through that, we might want to adjust the license fees down.
I will do that.
Yeah.
What do you guys think is a good?
75 and 50
Yeah.
to, I don't know if you
$10.
want to go 50 and 25, or if you
Right.
want to go 25 and
Make
10.
it reasonable, you got 10 was right.
Actually, they wouldn't have to do, I'd say we keep it all the same, so when they come in, if they're gonna do
Sure,
we're
renewal.
not gonna do a Custer County test now, So they wouldn't have to have an initial fee, it would just be an annual fee.
Right,
They could bring it
if
down
they're
to
already
$10,
certified.
$20, I'm fine with that. It's not the money, it's the process, to make sure that you're all doing it.
So my Texas, for some reference, my Texas license is, that's the only one that's every single year renewed. $25 and 4 hours of continuing education. But they send me a card too, hard plastic card, which I'm sure is probably almost $10 of that cost. So,
And I'm to the point where I have a badge machine. I think I now look at doing something like that for them, so it
Yeah,
says
do it
I'm
so they know
certified in
it's a
this, this, and
legitimate
this,
thing.
and it would make it more legitimate. And that would justify the $10.
So I made a motion, got a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you.
So do it, but come back, let's see the product.
I
Thank
still got to do that.
You did.
Excuse myself.
Good job, Dorothy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dorothy.
Have a good day.
Thanks.
Still don't understand why you put the incinerating toilet to a septic system.
And what?
Why you would hook an incinerating toilet to a septic system blows my brain completely out of my head. So it defeats the whole purpose of the whole incinerating toilet.
Yeah, so they're designed to where you don't mix it.
Yeah.
But that's a state reg, right?
Well, Colorado needs to do what Nebraska does. Forget the EPA. All the waste from Henderson goes 3 miles to a pond that only percolates at a 1/4 inch per day percolation rate, which is totally within the EPA reg. Then a farmer pumps out of there all summer long when you have the
Comes in
biggest,
there,
highest
gets his-
usage. And puts
Spread it all
on-
over his corn.
all on corn, yeah. And yeah, it smells a little bad. But you
That's what the
feed that
cows
to
are for.
cattle or
Alright.
other livestock.
He
keep on
he
going.
can now advertise his corn as organic.
That's exactly right.
It's all organic anyway.
It's medicated and everything.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot better than those other chemicals.
True. All right, on to newer and better things again.
Sorry.
Not better necessarily. So, Patrick, you're up. Is that right? Or you good?
Yeah, I got some updates on some of the stuff I've been doing.
Sweet.
Like it says in the agenda, I might have it in my thing a little bit differently, but yeah, a little bit of updates on the opioid settlement, Region 15, including some local stuff, and some policy issues, some new bills that were passed and signed into law, and some just general substance use program stuff. So with the opioid settlement Region 15, which is Chaffee, Custer, Fremont, and Park counties. I'm not sure how much I've went into this before with you guys in the past, but those 4 counties, that is slightly different than your health statistic Region 13. Lake County decided to go with, Eagle and Vale and those kind of areas, Summit County, whereas Park County joined us. So within those 4 counties, this is an 18-year-long income source for the 4 counties together to use this money as one big giant, basically family. To use them towards services, programs, campaigns, all that stuff together. So far, for the first 2 years, we've gotten $1,347,474. A lot of that money still has yet to be allocated into certain areas. There were 5 late settlements that settled in later on, which kind of bumped that money way up, that we're still working on figuring out how to deal with right now. There are 13 actual settlements to companies as of date right now. There might even be a couple pending in court. So with that, so far we've got an anti-stigma campaign, which is being run by a company called SC2. And you might see some things in the newspaper, some ads in there. If you use social media or things online, you can see some stuff in there. But this will be something that will be going on for a couple of years. We've had behavioral health stipends, so it is a little bit less impactful here, but we've had a couple people that we've been paying a few $1,000s, $3,000 actually twice a year to help with cost of living, and that is so we can keep people here in this county and not go somewhere like Colorado Springs, Denver, to help them with their cost of living, keep professional people here. And then also some prevention funds, and those prevention funds we still have at our disposal within the year one. So there's $30,000 about that Custer County can use for youth prevention services. It is pretty much indefinite. It rolls over. There's no, use it or lose it type of a thing. So
Who administers that? Who does that?
so
For us?
right now, I'm the person who's representing Custer County for the whole region. I'm also the treasurer for the opioid settlement region 15. And so some of the people that have been on it before, and Lucas is on the board right now.
So Region 15,
Yeah, Region 15.
and that's 4 counties?
Yes, it's called opioid settlement region 15 because don't get it mixed up with the health statistic region 15. Yeah, the region that you're probably most familiar with is health statistic region, HSR. That does the Health Kids Colorado surveys, that does pretty much all of your health data collected is with those folks. So I make that not too confusing. Some of those things that we're considering, and this is more getting all the stakeholders involved, is, you could use it for grading funds, helping with the Boys and Girls Club. You could be helping the Custer County Kids Council with some of their needs. You could be doing, we got very close to doing a Health Rocks program. It's a youth program that we do not quite have yet in this area. And then also using some of those funds for incentives for parents to participate in basically I'll just call it a parenting class, and incentives that can be used more broadly that are more restricted with other funds. So the Guiding Good Choices is a program I've been trying to get going for quite some time, but very difficult to get people bought in to do 5 to 6 sessions about parenting.
Yeah.
And so these upcoming year 2 plans for the region in the whole is to get a regional coordinator, someone as a part-time job to help basically facilitate the meetings and make sure that all of the funds are being used as is. They can create RFAs and RFPs if needed. That person we're working on the job description right now. Not divided up.
One program service all 4.
Yeah, it gets tricky. So there's representatives within each county, and of those, 3 of them are voting members. Everyone else who attends is an advisory member. We propose, we go through votes of, we can use it in treatment, prevention, treatment, recovery, harm reduction, or even criminal justice reform kind of areas. And within what is eligible and allowed to by the state Department of Law, we kind of go through an informal needs assessment process of, what do we all need together, all 4 of us? Not like, what does Custer need, but these other 3 counties don't need. So we're trying to find something that collectively all 4 of us would benefit from. Very difficult, especially when it comes to certain specific programs. Although things like the behavioral health stipends, the anti-stigma campaign, much easier to do a broad campaign that goes out, but still difficult to make it equal, fair. Fremont County has billboards, we don't, so it gets tricky. But we vote on that as a large group, how those get allocated.
And of course, you'd have more problems in a higher populated county than you would.
Yeah.
I mean, higher populated counties are gonna get more money.
Yeah, somebody's gonna
leave. Period. I mean, it's just.
Yeah.
I
And
know
so,
that's how it goes.
and like the 4 of our counties, even though Park is technically urban, the vast majority of its western part is all rural, even frontier. Hence why we joined together. At first, they were considering El Paso, and like, no, we're not doing that. Even though they're close, they're not close as in representation of who we are. So,
For sure.
yeah, that regional coordinator would be helpful because we're contracting right now someone to, the studying group to help oversee everything. But otherwise, when it gets down to the local government allocations, those are by, population. And so, Custer County, we opted in to accept local funds allocated to us. If we opted out, those funds would just go right back into the regional group. So all 4 counties would kind of absorb small amounts. So for example, Silver Cliff and West Cliff, the towns are opted out because they're going to get $80 a year, and you got to do paperwork, and it's like not worth it. So just opt out. That money goes into regional.
Sure.
Custer County, we're going to get like at first, $3,000+ for the first month. I'm like, I can do stuff with that, and I'll report the stuff back to the state. We actually ended up getting more money because of the settlements trickle in over time. Some of them are still, out there in the courts. So ultimately, in the first 2 years, we have received just over 10,000, 10,554 in the first 2 years, and there's no way we're going to opt out of that. And we're going to keep that, and I can do lots of stuff with that within other groups. So we'll go. I can for sake of time as well, just jump into some local government stuff. Again, it's over the course of 18 years. The first 2 years are more of a lump sum, like the largest amounts. Years pretty much 3 through 18, the next 16 years, the numbers just drop. So there's really not much you can do for programming, hiring a part-time person, nothing like that. So far these things are going more towards supplies, like those cases, those things that you can't otherwise get with other funds. So I purchased 220 of those locking pill bottles. Those help with kids pilfering their parents' medicine cabinet. They help with accidental overdoses for infants. It helps in a lot of things. So the pharmacies are putting those out for us. The sheriff's office, public health, I take them to events, and I've gotten rid of well over 100 of them so far, which is pretty good for 5,000 people. I've got approximately 12 more of those overdose response wall kits to be purchased with some of those funds to put out to other areas. Right now they're in the library, public health, Custer County Health Center, the clinic, putting it up, the Altitude Fitness, at the county building over there, and I've got about 6 more people that want them at least. And also for information dissemination materials and supplies. So basically part of the expense money. So that was some of the opioid settlement dollars. And I must say that also Colorado in whole received an award from the Johns Hopkins University as being the most transparent and the most efficient use of the funds of 46 other states that have received settlement funds. I've been going to the conferences every year with Attorney Weiser, or the AG Weiser and others, and yeah, Colorado is very good with what we're doing this with. Some policy stuff. Still a lot of things out there that have not passed, but the House Bill 24-1003, and I'm not sure if I'm talking too fast for your writing. I hate taking notes. The opioid antagonist and detection products in schools. So that's basically an antagonist is Narcan, the reversal medication. It was signed into law in end of April. It extends existing civil immunity provisions to school bus drivers, school personnel, and the students themselves for using Narcan in good faith if they need to use it, so. The school does have some, they do have their own policy, we renewed the policy last year, I think, with the guidelines, yeah. And Sarah and I both have plans on meeting with the new super regarding this topic specifically, but then also other things. There were 2 signed in June, the substance use disorders harm reduction bill and treatment for substance use disorders. These, they're much longer, I don't want to go into much detail because, again, with time, I do have copies of the bill if you are so bored you'd love me to read them. But it basically excludes some injuries involving possession of drugs and drug paraphernalia from a physician's mandatory reporting requirements, which would include ours here. I don't believe that goes for youth though. And it extends and clarifies that civil and criminal immunity protects a person who acts in good faith to furnish Narcan. It also protects the people who distribute it, and then, which it has already, but it just makes it even deeper into law, basically. So by having that thing up on your wall and someone uses it and they spray it for someone who's drunk, it's, you know, it's not, it doesn't do anything and no one can get in trouble. I'm not gonna get in trouble for giving it to you, you're not gonna get in trouble for hanging it up on the wall, the person who uses it.
You're gonna get hurt.
Yeah, it's like a good Samaritan type of.
It is, and has been having, you know, for years, there's protections for everybody, but they just, someone probably always finds something of a way to be like, well, I'm gonna sue you for this then, and they're just constantly rebuilding it, so no fear in ever using that stuff.
Similar to like the Good Samaritan law.
Yeah, yeah, and there is still, even though the Good Samaritan law for, actually calling 911 for an overdose, that's still, in place even with the new fentanyl law from 2 years ago, which kind of changed it for a minute, but people who call 911, if they're in possession of a minor amount of drugs, they cannot be criminally prosecuted, they cannot be arrested, because in good faith, they're calling 911 to save someone's life. Because too many people don't call 911 out of fear of getting arrested and someone dies.
Especially kids.
Yeah, and it goes for alcohol, kids, overdose, all that kind of stuff, so. In general, for program updates for us, approximately 200 naloxone kits, which contain 2 doses each, have been distributed in the last 12 months. All of these are given to us, free of charge by the Colorado Department of Public Health, Environment, Naloxone Bulk Fund. And according to the OD MAP, which is Overdose Detection Mapping Application Program, that is far beyond what is defined as saturation of the community. So they say about 900 kits per 100,000 population. That is approximately 2,000 kits per hour per capita, which is very high. So we have a lot of this stuff out there that in people's homes, on people's bodies, in their cars, in businesses, in law enforcement. A lot of people have this stuff. And also just generally public sites. Another important thing is that Narcan has been available retail, over the counter, for about 40 to 50 bucks. But if you do see that in like pharmacy, like our the Rockies one here, just remember that they are always for free public health, and that no one should ever have to buy it. And I already mentioned before the meeting, but we'll be switching from Clexata, which is naloxone 8 milligram per dose, to Narcan, which is what everyone's familiar with, which is just 4 milligrams per dose. There's no difference besides the dose of naloxone, and that is a decision that Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment chose for a couple of reasons. For one, costs. Clexata is brand new, and they're really in it for a lot of money, but then also there's little evidence to show that doubling the dose actually does decrease the need to use multiple bottles. and it actually increases the level of people's withdrawal symptoms upon waking up, getting that reversal, and causes lots of problems. So,
Is, go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. You stated you distributed the boxes now. Is that available? I think I heard as well earlier that they're carried by all the deputies in their vehicles.
yeah,
Fire department?
they provide their own. And so in the past, we used to actually provide the sheriff's office with Narcan, because Closado wasn't the thing back then. And then I swapped them all out of public health with the Cloxados. And then Rich Smith, when he came in, he got the standing order through their department to just get them directly from the CPHE on their own. So I no longer provide the sheriff's office with them. Rich does it, but we used to do that. Within the fentanyl bill from a couple years ago, I can't remember the number, I think it was 1236, it expanded the eligibility for, Native American populations, schools, churches, different types of groups are now eligible to apply directly to CDPHE with a standing order, whether you have a medical director or not. They have a medical director that can act on your behalf. And so now other people can purchase large amounts, and so that less of it would come from larger amounts from us.
So EMS?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they have some nasal ones, but for their actual, what they do with patients, they use the IV intravenous.
You gotta get with PIO again and make sure people know what's preferred.
Yeah, I put it in the paper, a few times, but then, when I talk to people, they're like, oh, I never heard you say that. Funny how that works.
Did you straighten out, you might tell these guys, I don't know if they know the details on that KRDO lady that was asking questions whether we were spending, well, we only got $18,000, which we got more.
Oh, the 1800, yeah. Oh, that was a Denver Post. Yeah.
Denver Post, that's what.
Yeah, and it still hasn't been published yet, but I keep looking every single, because I get the Denver Post electronically, and I look to see every day if it's in there.
They claimed that they had vision of the amounts that were allocated to the counties, and we were only allocated $1,800, but we were really, that's not true.
Right.
And you straighten them out.
Yeah, I met with them.
Because that grant had a lot more money.
Yeah. It is, the local funds are confusing how they get trickled in. Even Virginia and I, we're just like, the statewide is simple and easy, but these local government ones are difficult to track and follow, so I'm tracking it on my own thing, but yeah.
Okay.
Because you don't just get an amount of money, like, this is from all the settlements. It's like, well, this one, okay, here's one from Johnson & Johnson, here's one from Walmart, here's one from Kroger, and here's one from Teva, and here's one from Allergan, and here's one.
Class action.
And it's like, oh my God, can you make this a little bit simpler, please?
Yeah. Okay, what else you got?
So one more thing, we talked about the safe RX locking pill bottles. Quick update on overdoses. And this is a difficult one to say why this is the case. You always like to think it's because of your own efforts and everything's going on, but we have had 0 fatal overdoses in Custer County in 2024 so far. Last year there were 2. One involved cocaine, alcohol, another one involved like a multitude of substances. But that's pretty good for us. And it's hard to figure out exactly why, because it's such a small county. It does, if we get like 3, and you put that towards our population, it's like, wow, that's a large percentage and proportion for our county. But right now we got 0. And not only that, but according to Rich Smith, the sheriff, this morning, they have not used a single bottle on a person. Because they haven't had to. Not because they're like, nah. But yeah, they have not responded, and it's required by law. So that if 911 gets called for an overdose, EMS obviously is going, but also law enforcement is required to show up also. So they always get there first. So there's essentially no reported, non-fatal overdoses that have been reversed because
Yeah.
the sheriff's office got zero. Now, that doesn't mean that people at their homes have overdosed and done it themselves and then just not call for help. But, that's something to be pretty proud of. Because all around us, Fremont, Chaffee, holy cow, it's bad. Real bad.
Not to generalize anything, but is that due to more of the, homeless population?
That is a good part of it, yeah. Definitely not all of it.
Or the non-profitability of selling drugs out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cultural thing, it's a population thing, it's an access thing, it's a very complicated issue, but yeah, a lot of it is,
Okay,
for issues like that. So, I mean, with that, I'll just, call that as an update.
good update. Thank you.
Yeah, try to do it more
Questions?
often.
Any? Want to break for a second before she
Ask
starts?
if we could real
Yeah, let's
quick.
go that. All right, let's take 5.
Getting right.
And you can turn us off there, Jordan, for a minute. Go for it, sir.
Alrighty, so I'm gonna start off with our epidemiology. I met with our field epidemiologist on the 17th. Everything generally is pretty good. We've had a couple animal bites in the county that we're following. Illness rates remain low. Reported COVID rates remain low, but I'm hearing through the grapevine that people are starting to get it, but it's either the non-mandatory testing, they don't get reported. So what we see is low, which is good, but it's still out there, especially with all the travelers. So keep your eyes peeled. Nationwide, they are looking at the avian flu, which is H5N1. So I put a little link here. We'll put this up on the website. So this is the avian flu that has been transferred to dairy cow. So mostly it's in the northeastern part of Colorado, 19 farms affected. So we, luckily, are so good, but mostly, education and making people, aware of what's out there and what we have available to help prevent.
Or this close to Nebraska.
I'd say that.
I don't know.
Or that, more problems in the states. So the bird flu, H5N1, they did not.
It's in your liver, doesn't it?
So there's no vaccine for that. They're still recommending that you get your seasonal flu, so those that are immunocompromised, just to help. They're still working on a specified avian flu vaccination.
But how about the animals?
The animals,
Like the cattle, the milk cows.
it's hard because it's transferred through wild birds, and so the chances of catching the amount of wild birds inoculated, it's not quite keeping up with the demand. So it's mostly about prevention right now. So if we can kind of keep cross-contamination out, so your large poultry fields, your large dairy farms, things like that, so they encourage to make sure that you're not visiting those places if possible, changing your shoes, washing your vehicles off so you're not transferring from one farm to another farm. So here's an infographic on kind of what that looks like, how it's spread, how it gets into your body, and all that good stuff. So big signs and symptoms are respiratory symptoms, and then conjunctivitis, which is pink eye. So if you know of people that have these animals and come down with these symptoms, they should be tested. But again, it's mostly on the larger scales is what they're seeing, and they have not had for person-to-person transmission. So it's just person to contaminated animal. They have seen it in both cattle and cats that are on the dairy farms. So it's interesting because it's crossing different species, but again, not person to person yet. We're keeping a very close eye. If people are interested, there is free PPE or personal protective equipment available. So those that have large scale farms can get a 4-week supply free from the state. So right down here, you got your N95 mask, your face shield, goggles, gloves, and regular masks. So the N95 is preferred, but they're kind of expensive, so they recommend masking as much as possible. So yes, it's really easy to go to. We'll put this up on our website to make sure that people have access. And then we're kind of, preparing for our West Nile season since we've gotten some rain and it's warming up. We got to watch out for those mosquitoes. So using insect repellent, wearing warm clothes, keeping your grass trimmed, and then they've got those submergible little mosquito tablets that you can put in your large tanks that will put your animals. You get them off Amazon, or I think AC carries them. So if you have large tanks, it's good to put those in there and help prevent the growth of mosquitoes from the start. Do you guys have any questions about H5N1? No. So we're moving on. So our vaccination rates and updates. Tdap and Shingrix are most popular this season. Tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis. You can get it. It's recommended once every 10 years, but if you have injury and you fear risk of exposure to tetanus, you can get a 5-year booster. So please do not hesitate to come see us. Shingrix is a 2-dose series, so you can get the first dose and then the second dose happens between 2 months and 6 months. Very, very important, especially if you're experiencing high stress. Shingles can happen, and it is no fun.
So that's given where?
In the army.
No.
Or like
Here.
in Custer County.
Here.
Yeah, we have.
Not just at Safeway.
Yeah. We carry both of these on hand all the time.
And how much does it cost?
So Medicare, actually, Part D covers both of these, so you can get
Is
these
it real?
for free, so please do
I
not.
know they're
hesitate.
doing it free in Safeway, but there's other places that charge.
Yeah, so TDAP, we carry what's called 317, so those that cannot afford, or don't have insurance can come see us anytime for tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis shot. Very, very important. So tell your friends we do have that available. Other than that, if your insurance does not cover Shingrix, is a little on the pricey side. So, but some may say better than getting shingles itself. So we have seen an increase in our child vaccinations, especially from ages 2 months to 3 years, almost double. So we've been doing a ton of community outreach, and it seems to be reflecting in our child vaccinations, which is really awesome. We are starting to plan our off-site flu clinics in the fall. We put in our pre-order for flu and for COVID already, so we're hoping we won't have shipping issues. Last year we had shipping issues because they put out 3 different vaccines at the same time, and it overwhelmed the manufacturers, and it was a disaster. But we made it through. So this year, now things are kind of evening out. It should distribute on time, so we're hoping mid to late September that we get those doses. So sites will include our Wetmore Community Center, Valley Assisted Living, multi-purpose room at the school, and our senior center. We have a new blood testing program. In that handout with the bird guys, we've got information that we hand out to our families about blood. So we actually obtained all of these supplies and testing materials for free through a grant. So we get to now provide free lead testing for all ages. Those especially at risk for lead include infants, obviously, because they're close to the ground, anybody who are living in homes from pre-1978, things like that, and game meat, which I find kind of interesting. The lead can seep out from ammunition into the game meat and cause, so those that eat game meat regularly, there's a insert about it in there that pertains to that, which I thought was kind of fascinating, because I know we have a lot of hunters up here, so always good. It's just a finger poke, a couple drops of blood, and then we get results without screening, and if they come back high, then we can refer to higher medical care and get people started on education and training and things like that. So we've already had some community requests, so we're hoping to finish our training and start testing in a few months.
That might actually be more pleasant than somebody to test.
Any of your hobbyists, metalworking with lead is out there and people don't think about it. If you buy your spices from across the seas, some of those China manufactured spices can be high in lead. Baby toys, things like anything with paint. We have like little tester kits that people can take at home and rub on surfaces, and it'll pop lead if it's high in lead. And so we are hoping to maybe expand this grant and start buying more supplies, going to educate at our play groups, school, things like that. Making sure that people get tested. Infants are supposed to get tested at ages 1 year and 2 years to make sure if they do have that exposure that we can cut off that exposure early on before we see developmental delays. CPR instruction. So by July, we will have 4 instructors under public health, myself included, Patrick Fury over here, Susie Silver, and Sherry Wyatt. We provide BLS education, heart sleeper first aid, stop the bleed, AED inspection, and Narcan training. We keep our classes really affordable. To put it in perspective, most classes that you go down to anywhere else, they're going to start at a base charge of $40. We charge at cost. We do not make a profit. This keeps it affordable so that we can spread our education to far and wide. And people as young as 9 can be certified. So I'd really like to eventually get into the school systems when we meet with the superintendent to try to incorporate this into the curriculum so that we can start getting students certified early on and keep them recertified as they go forward.
So where are you doing them now?
Where we can. The SAR building is where we're having our next class, which is on Friday.
Is that advertised?
We are working on it. So we're working on our, it's word of mouth right now. So we had a waiting list. So we contacted all those on the waiting list to initiate. And as we both get fully certified by the 28th, because you have to take the education class and then teach a class to be certified instructor. Yeah. So anyways, we're working on getting our fully certifications, and then we can start doing them. We're hoping with proper staffing monthly, or at least every other month, that will provide a community event to where we can offer it or open it up.
So much other county entities such as Road and Bridge, CPR and first aid cards on a regular basis. Are they in contact with you or you with them?
We can be. They're welcome to call us, and how we've been doing it so far, since we had limited instructors and then we also can be, is that, you know, people call in, we put together a class with, you know, on a day that we can fit as many people in, and then go from there. So if we know they.
About a dozen, 15.
Excellent, so that we could knock it out with 2 instructors and take it up and get it done, absolutely.
And I don't know where they're at in the process right now.
Absolutely. And then we can kind of keep it a running document too, so that we can, you know, give them a heads up, hey, your certifications are coming up. So if we start, you know, Google Excel spreadsheet and send them, you know, kind of help them keep track of.
That's one of those 2-year certain ones.
We usually do 2. So we can reach out to them.
For American Heart, yeah, for BLS, but some different ones. Red
Could be.
Cross,
So what type of
online.
CPR are they now promoting?
So we most often do the basic life support, so that's BLS, is usually the most common class. But the Heart Saver includes basic life support and more of a first aid. So Road and Bridge probably would benefit from the larger class, and Stop the Bleed we kind of throw in there too, so they get more education for their money. And it's always good to train, because, you know, heavy equipment, things happen, so.
Like advanced life support, it's like ambulance or something.
Mostly that's more of your common.
It's not common. They know what to do.
Okay, so here's our update on our trailer. So this is the exterior, so we have our spare tire, our exterior power outlets here. There's the other tire here as well with our generator hookup next to that. And we also have our lovely advertising on the back, and this drops down into the ramp to make this wheelchair accessible. On the other side, we have our solar panel hookup, another exterior power hookup, and then you'll see the awning, so we can roll that out and have an exterior checkout station or education on the outside. So we have stairs for those that are able-bodied. If not, we can lower that ramp. This is our tech station, our check-in station, where the paperwork's completed. This is our nurse's station, equipped with a fridge for vaccinations and things like that. Emergency medical supplies, medication stored in the cabinet. That bench turns into a bunk bed if needed. TV for education. There's a generator back there. Lots of storage. And then our AED, and we'll probably mount our can boxes all in there. So that is what it's looking like so far. So we are really focusing on education and events. We're hoping to deploy at AirFest. That'll be our first functional run to do our tie-down strappings and see how we do. So we're going to use it as an MRC, or a Medical Reserve Corps exercise. So we need a grant deliverable and activate our MRC for volunteers. So and then this will also help, hopefully, in the future with disaster relief efforts. So we can be a communication center or a relief center for triage, things like that. Yeah. So you're getting really close. So these are the previous community outreach events that we have participated in. There's quite a few of them, well attended, good success, and like I said, we've seen a reflection in our services already, that we are expanding and growing because of our outreach to the community. We had a lot of fun times. So upcoming here are some pictures. So this is the Envision Good Health at Pines Ranch. So over here you'll see this is our like general, the general access to the public area. We also helped and teamed up with Tracy from Pines Ranch to do all of the children's activities. So we had a social emotional learning lesson with bracelets and things over here based on this book. It's really good book. And then my co-art teacher, Shelley, over here is leading the lesson, and it was good to have both the parents or guardians of the kiddos participate in there too. We had a good turnout. We had lots of fun. We also teamed up with the Wee Pocket Sanctuary to provide some animal therapy, which was really cool. So we've got some marsupials over here. This is a juvenile kangaroo. He's 2 years old and very large.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. So they got to learn about, you know, what they do and the benefits of the Wee Pocket Sanctuary running and rescuing these animals and the benefits that these animals can provide to people. It's really, really wonderful. We also had our library event. So you'll see our nurse back here. And then a little kiddo, she's from a homeschool family, and this is her first meal screen. So we did about 2 children and 6 adults for vision and hearing. We're hoping to try again in the fall to expand again to our homeschool families so that we can provide this service. Very important. This is the Art Club, so our social emotional well-being initiative. We went to recycling, Custer County Recycling. They provided us with these stripped barrels.
Custer County.
Yeah. Oh, the website says.
The Jimmy Levinson.
Yes.
But it
So,
is Custer County Recycling.
so
They are 2 different entities.
gotcha. So they, we worked with Tim and Steve. Yes, awesome. They were great. We got our barrels primed. The kiddos chose a theme and then executed that theme. And then we also got to learn about the importance of recycling. They got reusable water bottles, which we touched on, you know, the importance of hydration as well, and the environmental impact of recycling. And starting at a young age, how important it is for their generation to continue on. These barrels are going to be used at huge county events such as the High Mountain Hay Fever Music Festival and the rodeo. So we also had a visit from a Valley Assisted Living, which was really cool. The kids brought their barrels because Valley couldn't get out. So we brought them to them using the pellet, like they're over here. And so they got to explain their concept, why recycling is important, and why they chose their designs. And so we're really, really proud of that. So this kind of initiated myself and Shelley, my co-teacher, to look at opportunities for, you know, partnering with Valley and increasing our senior emotional well-being and trying to connect youth to senior mentorship. So moving forward, we've considered, you know, working with their activities director on how we can make that happen so we can blend both worlds. CCKC Family Fun Day. You see Patrick's up there. As well as our radon display. We have dwindled our radon free testing kits. We had 100, we are now less than 20. So we are seeing a demand, and people are reporting high levels in bleeding radiation. So still very prevalent. We're trying to continue that grant and possibly order more testing kits because it's been so problem. They also give out free books over here, as well as nutritional coloring books for the kids.
And, I think this question was asked when you guys gave the initial presentation on those, but there was possibly going to be grant funding to help with people that needed mitigation on that front.
So the state has a low income mitigation assistance program, but it's still a limited amount of money. So that's hence why we're trying to increase people to test to show the need to the state, hey, especially in our rate, you know, our county where we have really high rates, because across the state rate is extremely high, but especially here in our mountainous area, to show them the prevalence that the need is here, in hopes that at the speed of government, more money will be funded into that assistance program, because it is a little pricey to mitigate. And finding licensed contractors and getting them up here is also a challenge. But we have a sheet of licensed contractors that people can pick up and move on to here. So we have that available. Actually, probably put that up on our website so it becomes a little bit more accessible. That's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, we're looking forward to these future events. So we are ordering jump ropes for the physical fitness event to hand out on July 15th. we will be at school orientation to help with vaccine records or exemptions, to help lessen the load on the school nurse there, because it is a lot of intake paperwork. Living through that myself, I'm like, it's weird. And this will also give us a projection too on ordering the vaccinations. Once they get real busy, that way you don't have to run into the issue of, down the line, there's a 2-week deadline and they can't go to school if they don't have their vaccine. So we're really trying to get a jump start on that. Airfest on the 10th. We're super excited for that. And then Senior Week, we are going to be participating at the library to promote vaccination education and our other services there to our seniors. Any questions or comments?
The only other one I would have, nobody has stepped up to kind of take over or fill the gap that was left when nine health pulled out of the healthcare.
So those are our library events. That is our response to Nine Health Fair. So we provided your vision Nine Health Fair, so we then did it at a library event. I think it's just a big change for people to not, it's a change. So people don't it's spread out now to be more frequent over the year versus one big day, because we didn't have and so we're going to continue these library events. I've been talking to HR and C to try to get some of their physicians out here to present, so that we can provide services. I've asked community members that have attended these, what else can we provide? What are you looking for? What do you miss out of the Nine Health Fair? We're going to try to work with LabCorp to see if we can bring them up here to do the lab testing. The clinic does provide lab testing, but I think it's expensive. So we're really trying to work with what we have in response, because people are noticing the gap in there.
Yeah, I think it was a well-attended, a lot of community involvement in
stuff.
And they like
Loved
it.
it.
So we're trying, and now we have increased our frequency out in the community too. That's another thing. We're participating in other health events such as the Good and Vision Health. Anywhere we can go out and deploy our employees to get face-to-face time with the community, we can try to maybe in the future too, as we stabilize our staffing situation, we can do more of like vaccines for veterans that go walk. Where we can help fundraise and do things like that. I know the sheriff is in need of AEDs. Again, fundraising activities that we can partner up with other community partners to try to bring the community back in until maybe future funding comes in that we can reenact. Great.
The biggest attractor was the reduced cost, blood, the lab work and stuff. Everything else was awesome as well, but that was one thing that was kind of difficult to replicate. But I think, we can't do this. She's just saying, you get out there and do the things anyways.
and I we participated in that even in blood work. It was actually cost me more to do it through my health care than it did to get that done.
That's convenient.
But it was convenient and it was a good community event, and with all of that stuff in one location, as well as the information. I understand the challenges, but it was just something that we just found out.
Maybe in the future we can build to that again. Maybe it is more effective to do it on one day and reestablish that. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, if people want to volunteer and make pancakes, I'm cool with that. We can, but I think there's things that we can look at and
Yeah, I think it was. Because they used to do the crossover admin building. So yeah, it's not really doing it. Yeah, I think it was, but I think that would be normal thing, but for another thing too, like Peggy does do recording as well, and so she has some knowledge on that. But I don't think it should be forgotten.
we'll work towards that as we reestablish and try to get our new contracts and restaff. So we will work on that. But that brings up a good question. Do you, as the Board of Health, have any priorities that you want me to address as interim director? Is there anything pressing that you're wanting me to prioritize? Since I have you all here.
No, the big thing was the health fair kind of things that we've talked about, so that's a good thing to say. You have any issues over there, and broken pipes and other?
We do have a broken vaccine fridge, which
Yes, right.
went down. It was not a good week a couple of weeks ago because we lost Peggy in that same week that the vaccine fridge went down, and we were having stuff going on. But we have our eyes. We have narrowed it down to 2 fridges. We have new grant funds that are going to be replenished here in July that we can afford to replace. It is a 10-year-old fridge. So it held out for quite a while.
Is that the one that had the roadkill that was?
No. And then, but that fridge is not working, so we're gonna have to get a new fridge.
Yeah, another fridge for that too.
All kinds of stuff, and then the AC broke in the Trailblazer, so we're just having fun, but we'll get it fixed and up to speed here. But yes, so
Good.
that is one of the bigger purchases that we're gonna have to make here.
Can you send me an email on how many miles are on that? Your info.
Absolutely.
Y'all handling the CDPHE meetings?
Yeah, there's quite a few, but they're going well. I'm into the EpiTrack system, so that's our disease tracking system, which with the recent dog bites and things like that, I've had to take that on, but we're working through it. The state has a great field epidemiologist that has been a wonderful help. So, and then myself will be allowed access to that. I will have my lead nurse take up as backup, and then I have an administrative staff that is the backup to her, so we will have adequate staff trained to address that. It's happened.
I haven't gotten anything else. I think that's good. Good job. Thanks, both of you. Bring us up to speed. Any questions, guys? I know, well, you don't have any old business. Don't forget, we will go through this job description and get it posted next Thursday. That'll be our plan.
So that'll be on.
Make sure you get it on as an agenda item
So you're having, another BOH meeting.
on the 3rd.
On the 3rd, the same day that we have.
Yeah, we'll just do a quick look at where we are.
What
Staff
time would
Dorothy
you
went
like that meeting?
right after the
So we're like 1 o'clock.
Yeah, see, is that, what are we doing? Is
We
that-
need to
that-
see what's all on
That agenda, we were kind of modifying those, so
that one was kind of going on, so I'll take a look at it.
let's say around 11. See what happens here.
Be ready at 11.
Yeah, be ready
And
and
then,
flexible.
we can have you in by 2.
And then we don't have to wait, we won't have a break for lunch, we'll just go into it.
So bring my students next.
Because that's everybody's relatives and try to get done in half a day. And get ready to have some powder burns in July.
We're going back to Nebraska, so we get to go see some fun time.
You want to see it?
No, we're going to Omaha.
Is there any other comments out in the public here? We don't have anybody online.
There was one guy.
He's gone now. All right, well, given that, and there's no executive session, I adjourn this meeting at 1 minute after 3.